Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exam procedure, the rules for both the midterm and final exam, and how you should prepare. I've had to make some minor modifications to the exam procedures as described in the syllabus, as Google Docs is more difficult to integrate into Canvas for this purpose than I had previously considered. I have posted an updated version of the syllabus with the correct exam instructions. This format will also be used for the final exam. The midterm exam itself is available from March 9th at 12 a.m. to March 15th at 11:59 p.m. In other words, over spring break. This is the midterm exam period. You may take the midterm exam at any time within this period. You have 90 minutes to complete the exam once you begin. The only exception is if you start the exam on Sunday, March 15th at, say, 11 p.m., you will only have until 11:59 p.m. So please don't do this. Now, to navigate to the exam, the best way to do this is via the Canvas homepage, but you can also access the midterm through the Assignments tab if you so choose. During the exam period, navigate to the Week 9 module and click on the midterm exam. Clicking on this does not start the 90-minute timer. This will instead take you to the instructions for the exam. Please ignore the "you have already started the quiz" message that's appearing on screen now. That shouldn't appear from you. That's just on my end. Now, be sure to read the instructions closely as, again, the timer will not yet have started. Now, to start the midterm, you will click on the blue Begin button at the bottom of your page. This will start the 90-minute timer and reveal your essay prompts. You are to choose one of these essay prompts to answer. You are to provide your response in this text entry space. If you look at the bottom right, you'll notice 5 icons. The arrow icon will make this text entry space full screen, while the 2x4 dots here will allow you to drag and change the size of the text entry space itself. Use these as you see fit. You will note the timer at the top of the screen. This tracks the time that you have remaining to provide your response. You can click the arrow to the timer's right in order to hide the remaining time. Once you are satisfied with your response, click the Submit button to submit your midterm exam. Please let me know if you have any questions about this procedure before beginning the midterm exam. Next, let's discuss the rules for this exam. As I said, you have 90 minutes to complete the midterm once you begin, and you have only one attempt. Barring extreme and documented exigent circumstances such as a tree limb falling onto your house, technical difficulties resulting in your failure to complete the midterm will not be cause for granting a second attempt, resetting the exam timer, or receiving extra time. It is your responsibility to ensure that you are able to complete the midterm exam without technical difficulties. Be sure that your computer is plugged in, that you have a stable internet connection, and that you're not taking the midterm during a storm where you might lose power or internet connectivity. The next rule is that copy and pasting is strictly prohibited, with the sole exception that you may copy and paste the exam prompt, the essay prompt, that you choose if you want to. Your responses will be logged through Canvas's quiz log. I will go back and review all responses. If you copy and paste anything other than the exam question, you will receive a 0 on the midterm without exception. This includes citations, references, quotes, outlines, or anything else. Do not copy and paste. The purpose of this exam is to test your understanding and your ability to explain the course materials, not to have you prepare pre-written responses to likely questions and copy and paste these as your response. Next, for both the midterm and the final, these exams are OpenNote, OpenBook, and Open Resource. Essentially, you can use any resource you so choose when drafting your response. The limitation here are only subject to the course's AI and academic honesty policies. However, All ideas, thoughts, and writings that are not your own must be appropriately cited. For materials covered in the course, inline citations are sufficient. For materials not referenced in the course, not course readings in other words, these require a formal APA, APSA, or MLA style citation and related reference page. Again, no copy and pasting, so consider the time that it will take to write out a reference for external materials. Fundamentally, you should be able to convincingly respond to the prompt using only materials covered in the course. Finally, and as for the rest of the course, the use of AI or LLM tools is strictly prohibited. This includes ChatGPT, Grammarly, Claude, and other similar tools. You are prohibited from having such tools either draft or edit any part of your response. Your responses will be run through both the AI and plagiarism detection processes as detailed in the syllabus that I use for the response papers and the reading analyses. A finding of AI usage or plagiarism will follow the relevant syllabus policy. So that's the procedure. Those are the rules. What am I actually looking for with these responses? Well, fundamentally, I want you to craft a compelling argument in response to the prompt. I want you to demonstrate your understanding and comprehension of the course material. This means generally crafting a compelling argument by taking a side and supporting it, and ideally refuting likely counterarguments, though it's unlikely that you'll have time for that. Good answers will draw in ideas from multiple weeks as responding to a question like what is required for a stable democracy would require a discussion of political culture, of institutional rules, conventional and unconventional participation, parties, pressure groups, and so on. The 90-minute time limit, though, means that your response will be imperfect. This is by design. There is no word limit or minimum. You will instead be graded on how well you respond to the prompt, how convincingly you argue your perspective, and your demonstrated understanding of the covered course material thus far. You will not have the time to craft a perfect response. And as a good practice generally, but specifically for here, I strongly recommend that you take the first 5 to 10 minutes to craft an outline and use this to form your response. Beyond just providing structure to your response, this will allow me to see where you were going if you ran out of time. I'm very likely to grade a response more favorably if there is some logic to where you are going rather than just an unfinished response. In order to prepare effectively for both the midterm and final exams, I would review and organize your notes. You should probably download both your and your peers' reading analyses, as well as organize these in such a way to make reference possible. You should be able to identify where topics are discussed at a moment's notice and use those to structure your response. I'd also recommend constructing potential outlines on likely topics and potentially do a test run where you simulate the midterm environment using the prompt, "What is required for a stable democracy?" This will not be one of the available prompts on the midterm. Now, you're not going to have time to Google topics, use Google Scholar, or otherwise research the topic, so be sure to prepare beforehand. Remember that no copy and pasting is allowed, even for citations or outlines. Now, attempting to wing it when you take the midterm is very unlikely to go very well. I urge you to take the time to prepare and feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns. I will be responsive via email during the midterm exam period, in other words, spring break. So even if you just want assurances that you're preparing correctly, feel free to reach out. Good luck, and I look forward to reading your responses.